Hello, everyone, and today we are joined by Maine Blackbears kit manager Kevin Ritz. How you doing today, mate?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you guys?
Not bad, not bad. So we're just going to get straight on with the questions that we've come up with here. Um, so let's take all the way back to the beginning. And what made you want to become a kit manager?
Sure. It's actually kind of a funny story. I came to school here at the University of Maine as a freshman in 2004, dating myself a little bit, but um, I was just a regular student. I wanted to come to college that had a Division I hockey team so that I had something to do on weekends. Going to the games and just kind of having that social aspect. Made some friends with some of the players and ended up getting a job working for our arena, just kind of working, as a scorekeeper or, helping with outside rentals and everything. And one day the equipment manager came up and said, "Hey, I need some help packing bags. And does anyone want to help?" So I wasn't doing anything. So I went downstairs and ran into a few of my friends that were on the team, helped pack some bags, and then said, "Okay, this is fun. I want to do this instead." So I pretty much stopped going to classes and just hung out at the rink every day, just learning absolutely everything I could. Because from day one, I was like, this is what I want to do as a career. I learned anything that anyone was willing to teach me. I asked a lot of questions and I just dove right into it. It was just one of those lightning moments. I never even knew this job was a thing until I showed up outside the equipment room door. So, uh,
Fair enough.
kind
Yeah,
of,
sounds like a good starting point. Really, obviously, having a
yeah,
few mates in the team as well. Sort of, that must have
it
opened
definitely
up your
helped.
yeah, definitely helps and opened your eyes to the whole sort of behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah, it was instantly comfortable being around the guys and the women's team that we have here too. I knew a lot of players on that team, and you know, I'm in their space, and they've never seen that, but they all were super welcoming, and it's we joke, but one of the strongest things with our program here is we are the Maine hockey family, and they realized from the start that, oh, this is someone that wants to be part of the family and can help us, so you're in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fair enough. So, um, let's go to the present Maine Black Bears squad. Which player has the best setup, in your opinion?
Oh, well, it's one of the goalies because most of the other players, everything's the same. They all the sticks look the same. We get the same graphics for everyone. Obviously the uniform, the helmets, the pants, the gloves, it all looks the same. Um, but our goalies get to be a little different. Um, they I think this is the first year in a while where all three of our goalies have incredible style. Um, Everyone's pads look awesome. We have Gage Stewart using some Vaughn pads and going back to the old iceberg-esque graphic, which is iconic. He executed those so well; they look great. And then we have Albin Boya and Patrick Spurzins using True, more traditional setup with their graphics. They look great. We just got our custom helmets back in a couple weeks ago, and our painter Jesse with Jesse's custom designs just absolutely they're works of art. He's a tremendous artist as it is, and we're fortunate to use him every year. But the masks he did this year are just they're incredible. They're all over social media already with all the pictures of them. I think if I had to pick one player, and it's no knock on the other two, but I really like Gage Stewart's helmet. He does his design is half of a realistic black bear, and then the other half is a black bear skull, and it meets in the middle of the crown of the helmet, and it looks so cool, and it's something that we haven't seen here. Um, and it just the execution of it was great, and it really pops with our navy uniforms.
Yeah, yeah. I've seen over socials like a few of the goalie pads, And
Yeah.
I think one of them that did stand out to me was, I don't know what player it is, but on your women's team, you've got one that has all like paw prints over it.
Yeah. That's one of our freshmen on our women's team. She's from Finland, and I'm totally drawing a blank on her name, and I'm gonna kick myself for it. But she's in a set of Brian's pads,
Yeah,
and they,
yeah,
it's all of our goalies have tended to be a little more traditional over the years. You have these companies that can do wild and crazy graphics, and no one's really pushed the limit. And she's the first one that really has, some detail into hers with the paw prints, and
yeah,
they look great.
yeah. I do. I remember seeing them and thinking they are really cool goalie pads. You see all these cool designs, and that was definitely one that stood out to me. Um, so what has been the biggest challenge that you've faced as a kit manager so far?
Um, the biggest challenge was probably just learning the job in general. I was a student, learning early on, and I took every opportunity I could to kind of throw myself into situations where maybe I wasn't ready, but willing to try and fail. After just learning for a few months, I started traveling with our women's team, and definitely wasn't ready to be off on my own, but I used that as a great learning experience, just saying like, okay, I don't have a safety net. If I make a mistake, now I have to figure out how to fix that mistake without someone being like, oh, you should do it this way first. Um, and I did that for a year, and then I went and probably wasn't ready again, but I took full-time employment at another school, and definitely failed a ton there. Just not knowing, I went from a college kid to an adult overnight, and had to figure that out. So I think just the challenges of learning the profession um, quickly, and for a lot of it on my own. I think
Yeah,
that was the biggest challenge. Um, and then even when I came back to Maine as a staff member, um, I had student helpers, and then it was on me to then be the teacher. And I was not equipped to do that, but I hope all my earlier students that are now off and running in the real world, I hope they forgive me for being a pretty terrible teacher, but I think they had fun along the way. So
yeah, that's all that matters. If you have
yeah,
fun, then you're going to spark a passion in someone. So,
that's it.
um, so obviously a few Maine Blackbears players have gone on to play in the NHL. I Jeremy Swayman. What was it like being the kit manager for some of them players that are now in the biggest league in the world?
That's the best part of the job. Um, all the kids that we have come through this program, their goal is to play in the NHL, and to be able to help them get there. We it's not my job really to baby them, um, to really like take care of them, but whether they admit it or not, we've all helped them. Everyone at this level, uh, we've helped them get to where they're going, and it might be as minor as, yeah, I'm just the guy that sharpened your skates for 4 years, but without me, you wouldn't have had anyone to sharpen your skates for 4 years in college. But then it's, some of these other players, you build the relationship with them, and you get to watch them grow as adults, and you provide a safe space. If they're having a bad day, they can come to the equipment room and they can vent, they can have a cup of coffee and just kind of hang out because they need that. And it's so cool to watch a player that, like for me, the one that always jumps out is Devon Shore, and he was with us for 3 years. And to watch him come into the rink every day with a smile on his face and just love what he was doing, and be genuine around everyone that was here, and be just so excited and friendly and outgoing. And then you watch him leave here, go to the AHL, and then you get to see him play his first NHL game, and he still has that same smile plastered on his face. every shift that he's out there, and you realize like he is living his dream, and I was a small part of it. It's there's nothing like it. It's so cool.
Yeah, and obviously it must be cool. Your contact book must look incredible. I see all these having all these NHL contacts in there. You can
It's
organise
pretty cool.
you can organise the party afterwards. Um,
Yeah.
so what has been your? I think we sort of touched on it earlier about goalie stuff. But what has been your favorite piece of equipment you've seen? So this could be like a cool custom stick or something like that. What is that? What has been the best thing you've seen on the
Um,
ice?
I go back to when I was a student. Our backup goaltender, David Wilson, on his mask his senior year actually painted myself and one of our other friends on his mask because we were the crazy students that would sit up in the balcony of our student section and yell and scream and dress up. I was wearing a mullet wig and my friend had Viking horns, and we ended up on his helmet. So that was the coolest thing. Some of the other helmets that have come through with our goalies, um, just the ideas that they come up with and then explain it to our painter and to see it executed, it's so cool. But and even now, like our custom sticks, we're one of the only schools in the country that I've seen that has purely custom sticks, and they're beautiful. There are bright light blue, and everyone knows when we're on the ice that hey, that's Maine. We have the coolest sticks in the game, and you know, and they work too. We tend to
Yeah,
score some goals and win some games with them. So
yeah. I like that. I've seen the sticks as well, and also the goalie sticks as well that sort of match with the player sticks. I think it's
yeah,
really cool. I think
yeah, it really came out great.
I think props to you guys because you've done an incredible job with just the whole look of the university. I think it's incredible to see, and also the jersey designs as well are brilliant. So
We're very traditional. Our home and road jerseys haven't changed in decades, and as long as I'm here, they're not going to change anytime soon. I think, especially our Navy ones are iconic. Everyone looks forward to seeing our Navy jerseys on the road, and uh, it, it everything we do, we kind of tie around that look. So when our goalies are designing their pads and their helmet, it's our color scheme, it's our striping pattern. When we do our apparel, it's like, okay, how does this tie in with our jerseys? And Warrior executing our stick idea and design, and really having it all tie in. It's pretty cool to see us on the ice.
yeah, right. That's all for the regular questions. Harry here is going to ask you some of the fan questions that you got on Instagram. So Harry, if
Sure.
you want to take it away, mate.
So yeah, I was quite shocked to see how many fan questions we got within 4 hours of posting the story. So I'm excited to get these cracking.
Uh, well, hopefully they're clean and good. I'm sure we have some crazy fans. Most of them are probably my friends that are, trying to embarrass me.
Um, I used to work in the NAHL. Is there any advice on getting back into the EQ world? Says Stevie.
Yeah, just reach out to anyone and everyone that's willing to read their emails or answer a phone call. There's jobs popping up all the time. People are always on the move. If you've got out of the game, it doesn't mean you can't get back in. We're a very welcoming community. I think any of us are more than willing to answer any questions that people have and help out wherever we can. There's always teams that are in need, and if there's people willing to put in the work, we hope to match everyone up.
And the next question, which I'm hoping is gonna have a quite a funny answer, is Andy wants to know what was the weirdest goalie quirk you've had to work with?
Oh, geez. Probably the weirdest one. The morning of our NCAA regional game in 2012, our starting goaltender comes up to me and says, I'd like to have the front half of my skates sharpened at 5/8 radius with the inside edge taller than the outside. And then I'd like the back half of my skates to be at a half inch and have the outside edge taller than the inside. And thankfully, our goalie coach at the time was right next to me when he asked that, and he looks at me. He goes, "Can you do that?" I was like, "Well, I can probably figure it out." He's like, "Do you want to do that?" It's like, "Well, if he wants it, then we can work on that." Goalie coach looks at the goalie and goes, "Yeah, we're not going to do that the morning of a game. That's a Monday question, and that way you can try it out for the week." Um, so that was probably the weirdest request. Um,
Yeah, no, that not only does that sound weird, it sounds like it would have been a pain to sharpen as well.
It definitely would have been a pain. I don't know how well I would have executed it, but man, we would have tried. Probably would have lost a finger or two in there. So,
And I've got a kind of similar one from James asking, what's the most interesting equipment mod request you've ever had?
um, let's see. We had an alum who was skating with us in the summer ask to have the holders on his skates turned in, so that when he was standing flat-footed, his normal stance, his he was a little pigeon-toed, so he wanted the steel to be more lined up with how his hips should be, knowing that his feet weren't turned that way. So that was interesting. I think we tried it for a week or two with him, and then he realized he couldn't skate. Um, that one was pretty interesting. I've had some interesting. A lot of goalies are just different. The finger notch that goalies are now putting into their paddle. Um, I had a goalie that wanted more of like a three finger trigger, almost as if you're trying to like hold a player's stick, and you kind of do the wrap with the tape at the knob, so you kind of get the little finger grooves. He wanted finger grooves cut into his paddle. Uh, we tried that didn't work. Um, Goalies are always coming up with some weird modifications that they want to try, and 50% of them work and 50% of them don't, and they change it a week later. But it's always fun to mess around and try different things.
Yeah, I mean, I think the what you were saying about having half the skate one thickness and the other, I think that takes the cake though.
Yeah, I think so.
Um, I'm trying to find this person's name before I ask the question. Oh, Philip wants to know what. Oh, do you have a second favorite coffee brand?
I I don't discriminate with coffee. I like any and all coffee. The people that know me know I definitely prefer Tim Hortons over anything. But I'm sitting here drinking a coffee right now as we're having this conversation, and it's my fourth cup of the day.
Oh, they recently built a Tim Hortons in the UK, not too far from my route to the rink, so that's quite nice.
Yeah, you're gonna have to build a habit and go every day, get a coffee, grab a donut.
So I'm gathering from this question you have a tad bit of a Tim Hortons addiction.
A little bit. We had one in town. We have a couple in the area, and it started years ago where every game day, I would go buy a dozen donuts on my way into work and would just have donuts throughout the day. Um, for all of my students and the volunteers that help us out, it's hey, come have a snack, whatever. And it's really become a tradition where every game day I've got to have a dozen donuts at least, just in the equipment room, and everyone knows if they come in early enough, they're going to be able to get one. And sometimes we have to go out and get more because they go too quickly. And there's there's always coffee following donuts. So
I mean, fair enough. So the next question is from Zay, and he wants to know, how did you become so handsome and capable?
so Zay is one of my amazing student workers. He actually covers a lot with our football team. Um, and he knows the secret is just if I spend a lot of time with him, it happens naturally.
Uh, um, So, and I'm not sure how to say this name, so apologies in advance if I butcher it. Cassian wants to know who is your favorite AT student from Maine of all time?
That's a loaded question. She's she's another one of my good friends. And let's see, favorite athletic training student. So we're very fortunate. We have an incredible athletic training program here for our students, and they get parted out to different teams. And our athletic training staff is incredible here, and we've had some really good students. It's really hard to pick just one. It definitely wouldn't be her though. She yeah, I don't know if I can pick just one, but she knows she's at the bottom of the list.
Okay, so I got the last fan question from Ted, and he wants to know what is the most difficult part of being a kit man for the Maine Black Bears?
I think difficulty in it is in how you look at it. For us, I think it's the long hours that you have to put in, especially on travel days where our closest opponent is 4 hours away. So every road trip is an overnight, and then after that last game on a weekend, you're driving back home. We got home at 2:30 this on Sunday morning from Northeastern this past day, and I was at the rink until about 4:30 doing laundry, and then finally got home and went to bed. So I think overall the most difficult thing are just the hours that you have to put in to do the job and do it well. But it's part of the job, so it's unavoidable. So you try not to dwell on the 18-hour days, or you suck it up, you pour a cup of coffee, and you move on. And I think just some of the day-to-day tasks can be difficult, but it becomes routine. There's nothing that we do that's rocket science. You can fix pretty much anything with a hammer, a screwdriver, and some duct tape. It just takes some ingenuity. So there's a lot harder jobs out there. I have a lot of respect for our medical teams, for everything that they do, and especially with COVID, everything they had to do. But for us, let's get the laundry done and try not to make things smell. And you know, it's not a hard job, but it's a fun job, and it like everything, it has some hard parts, but you just move on.
Yeah, I think we might have to ship our mascot to over to Maine so you can have a look at it because Brody can back me up on this one. It's definitely got a smell.
Yeah, the uniform for the mascot here is I can't even describe to you, even being in the costume as well myself, it's not the nicest experience anyone will
I
ever
I can't
experience.
imagine.
Yeah, it's one of those oh, what did I sign myself up for
Yep.
moments. But Kevin, I believe that's all we want to ask you. Thank you very much for joining us. It's been a pleasure
Yeah, no,
having you
thanks
on.
for having me.
And
This
good
was
luck.
fun.
Good luck for the rest of the season as well. I'm sure you guys are going to do incredible things.
I hope so. It's definitely fun to be around right now. So,
Yeah,
check in on us, and maybe we do this again at the end of the year, and I tell you about our run to a national championship.
we will keep you posted on that. Don't worry, we will keep in
Hope for the
touch.
best.
Yes.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you very much, Kevin.
Thank you. You guys have a great rest of your day.
You too.